The Bristol Flyers Podcast.
Hello, welcome to this week's episode of the Bristol Flyers Podcast with me, your host, Joel Osborne. Here's Sam Hardy. This is episode 20, Sam, so massive milestone alert.
It's a big one, mate. It better be a big one. We better have a good guest for this one.
Oh, we brought out all the big guns for this one. But before we introduce this week's guest, I do have to just say, Bristol Flyers right now, joint top of the BBL.
Oh, top of the table, baby!
Yeah, massive pair of wins at the weekend. Caledonia and London Lions. 89-79 on Friday. And then a 4-point win over London on Sunday. This is the London Lions that everyone's talking about to win the title. And there comes little Bristol Flyers. Everyone's writing them off, comes and beats them in the home gym.
They can go to Europe, they can go to wherever, but can they come to Bristol in a small gym, SGS, and do it on a Sunday afternoon? No, they can't,
No, they
John.
can't. No, they can't. Top it all off, by the way, Admin got his Glasgow tickets on Sunday as well. So Admin's going back to Glasgow. You ready for them picks?
So if you weren't with us over the summer listening to the podcast, Joel basically went to Glasgow and all he did was take lovely pictures and didn't post anything about the Flyers for about 3 months, and came back, and then all people wanted to see was not Flyers content. They didn't want to see the releases, they just want to see Admin's pictures from Glasgow. So we'll get more next year, won't we?
Yeah, Dan Routledge can rest easy now knowing that Admin's Glasgow picks will be coming back next year. We'll talk about the two games in more detail a little bit later on, but first we have to introduce this week's guest. He scored 17 points on Sunday against the London Lions. We are wearing royal blue because we have got royalty in the house here. It's none other than VJ King. VJ, how's it going?
How you doing? Glad to be here.
Really great to have you here on the podcast. Just talk us through what it's been like in camp this week following those two wins. What's the mood been like?
The mood's been the same as it's been every day, to be honest. I mean, you guys talk about how big of a game it was, but to us, it was just another game, another win for us, another step in the right direction. So, we look forward to seeing each other. If after a win or a loss, it doesn't really matter. So, we have to get ready, get back to work.
I love that mentality. Like everyone's sort of been writing off the Flyers sort of going in, but whenever I speak to the players, they're all like, "Oh, this is what's expected. We're expected to protect home court. This is how we're done." I love that mentality. It's really the club's really pushing forward.
And they all talk about how much they love each other, and they have a good real team dynamic this year. We love to see. So yeah, I'd love to hear it from you as well. That's so nice.
Yeah. Am I right in thinking Coach took you guys out to Toby Carvery to celebrate on Monday?
Sure did. Yep. Got us a nice little meal after the game. Said it was well deserved, but he was heading out to Africa to go to his wedding for his wife's friend, so wanted to have us a good meal before he left.
Yeah, he's away from training. That Coach Burns is in charge of the group for this week. You had your training with Coach Burns today, didn't you? How did it go?
I mean, it was good. I mean, he pushed us a little harder today. So if you don't have a game this weekend, so we'll go a little harder in the weight room this week.
Very good. Am I right in thinking that was a lot of your guys' first roast dinner when you went to Toby Carvery?
It was our first one.
We always say when the American players come over, they have to try a roast dinner.
It's roast dinner and it's full English breakfast. They're the things, aren't they?
You've had the full English breakfast down at Village Hotel, right?
I have. I've had everything except the beans and toast. I haven't touched that yet.
Nah, everyone says baked beans is the no-go zone for these American players. They just unheard of having baked beans for breakfast. They just can't get over it.
I actually saw a picture that Mount put up yesterday of his weekly shop or something. Did you see that on Instagram?
Yeah, on Instagram.
I think there was 10 separate cans of baked beans he'd ordered or something.
Yeah, I think he put a poll out in his story. He said, "Am I going to get through? Is this going to last me the week?" And I was like, "Nope, that's not going to last you the week because he's a big guy and man's got to eat." Talk us through. So what did you make of the Toby Carvery then? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. They had a whole bunch of different, assortment of whatever you like. It was roast beef, turkey, ham. I think they called it gammon here.
Yeah, gammon. That's right.
So,
we're posh here, we don't say ham.
So they had mashed potatoes, mac and cheese, stuffing, all kind of stuff. It was really good.
We actually saw a tweet from Brandon Mahan who posted his roast dinner up on
really?
I think if we can get it up on the screen here, you can see it here on the screen behind us. I mean, for the listener listening to this podcast, you can see it on the screen. There's probably, what is that, beef, chicken? There's a real lack of roast potatoes on that. Mac and cheese, a couple of Yorkshire puddings, and a really bad proportion of gravy on that. But I don't know. What do you think of that, Sam?
where are the vegetables?
There's no veggies.
These professional athletes going out for dinner and not one vegetable. Actually, there's a bit of cauliflower cheese up there as well, but only a small bit. That doesn't count. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I also question what that is he's drinking. It looks like, I don't know, is it wine or is it water? It's got like a strawberry in it. Is that a strawberry in
Yeah,
it?
what is he drinking?
I think that's water with strawberry. I think it's water. I'm gonna say it's water.
I was
Yeah,
gonna
say it's water. Gin and tonic. We'll say it's water. Yeah.
Well, let us know what you think on. We're on the socials at Bristol Flyers, so we'll put this clip up on the social media feed. You can let us know what you think of Brandon Mahan's choice of roast dinner segments here.
I'm disappointed, if I'm honest with you, Joe.
Yeah, me too. I don't think that is worth it. Roast potatoes are like the number one part of a roast dinner.
Yeah.
But hey, there we go. VJ, you've been in Bristol for, was it, three months or so now? How have you found settling into life, both on and off the court?
Well, off the court, I don't really do too much. I think the most I've done is try to find good spots to eat. And for the most part, they've all been pretty good. I don't think I've been to a place that hasn't been good yet. So I've actually been really impressed with that.
Give us some of your favorites.
I knew you were going to ask me that. I don't really, I forget a lot of the names of them actually, but we've been in Peppaneros a lot. They have amazing like pasta and pizza, stuff like that. There's this like, it's almost like a barbecue pit somewhere in town. I forget what it's called, but it's amazing food there. It's kind of similar to what we had, but it's more of like a street food type of thing.
Is that not rice and things?
Leslie Smith loves rice and tings.
It wasn't that one.
When we had him on the podcast, he was all over it. Have you been to Rice and Tings yet on Gloucester Road? Is it on Gloucester Road?
No, it is, but that's not the one you're on about. I want to know which one you're on about now.
I think it's called Low and Slow, something like that.
Oh yeah, that place. It's in St. Nick's Market, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it?
It's so
Okay.
good.
I've never tried that place.
You have to.
Yeah,
go.
it's amazing. It's really good.
Yeah. Who are you rooming with this year? With Tevin.
Tevin.
What's he? Have you got any dirt on Tevin to dish? What's he like doing with?
Nah. Tevin is a real chill dude. I mean, he seems so energetic around the guys, but I've told a lot of guys when we're at home, he chills. He don't say too much. But I ain't got no dirt. And I ain't gonna put him out there like that.
He just sits there and plays his video games, I imagine.
Is he a gamer? Is he? Are you a gamer as well?
I'm a gamer. I'm more of a gamer than he is.
What are you playing at the moment?
I play Apex Legends. I play that with a lot of my teammates sometimes.
Les is big on the Apex Legends. He was saying you got a little squad going, is it?
A little bit. I'm the worst one in the squad right now, so I'm trying to catch up.
They carry you to the wins,
Yeah,
is it?
most of the time.
Who else is in that squad? So you,
Me, Squally, Malcolm plays. Mike got into it a little bit,
Nice.
but yeah, I usually just play with Leslie and Squally most of the time.
We'll have to do some content around gaming. Seems to be a lot of gamers on the team this year, more than we've had previously.
Yeah. You do a little tournament.
Yeah, a little tournament or a little live stream or something. Get some fans involved.
Yeah,
It's
good
like
idea.
Little live streaming gaming marathon or something like that.
Yeah, let's sort that out.
We'll take that back to the to the drawing board. VJ, what other sort of things are you doing in your spare time to unwind? Are you Netflix? Are you watching on Netflix, things like that?
I do a lot of sleeping. I'd say that's probably the number one thing I do when I'm off the floor. But I mean, like we said, with the schedule we have, especially as we get into the bulk of the season, when we get back, if we have any free time, just kind of relax. I don't really try not to do too much, especially it rains all the time, so it's hard to really get out and do stuff when it's raining. But I mean, for the most part, I just out there trying to find new food spots. That's probably my hobby right now.
So we're taking you away from your nice safety of your home, your food spots to come and do this. But we do appreciate having you on here.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when you first joined, you said that this was your first time over in the UK, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely was.
What's your first impressions of? I imagine it's just good being somewhere, playing somewhere with as English language speaking, right?
Yeah, I mean that was the first thing somebody said when I told them I was going to play in the UK. They were like, well, at least they speak English there,
Yeah.
But like I said, I mean the food is great. The town is it's very similar to South in Luxembourg for most of the season last year. And
Ed's waving because he's from Luxembourg, so he's loving it. Yeah.
Oh, okay, nice. But the town is very, very similar to that. But I think what was the most difficult transition was the driving. and being on the right side, that was a little scary at first. Not gonna lie.
You managed to settle into that all right, though?
Yeah, it took me about a month to get used to it, but
yeah, it's also the stick shift, isn't it? You're not.
No, we don't drive the stick. I think Malcolm is the only one that has.
Yeah.
The
So the Flyers cars are all automatic. That's probably why, though, because probably for the best.
Yeah, the garages who provide them are like, save our cars. None of this kangarooing around, you know. I like it.
Very good. Well, VJ, thanks a lot for joining us on this week's episode of the podcast. We've got a quick fire question feature to get to, so we basically ask our guests as many questions as they possibly can about themselves in 30 seconds. The score to beat is Corey Samuels. He got 8 points last week.
Yep.
Malcolm had 7 the week before, and the bottom of the league right now is Leslie Smith. He had 5. So that's your score to beat. Sam, shall we get ready for quick fire questions? Ooh. Don't be nervous, VJ. It's only 30 seconds of quick fire questions. Are you ready? So we've got as many questions about yourself in 30 seconds.
You're asking them to me, or
we're going to ask them to you.
Okay.
You have to answer them as quickly as possible. They'll be super quick fire questions, one or two words tops. Are you ready? Your 30 seconds starts from now. What's your favourite movie of all time?
Baby Boy.
If you weren't a basketball player, what would you be doing?
Something in art.
Saturday night games or Sunday afternoon games?
Saturday night.
What is your favourite shoes to hoop in?
Nikes. Anything Nike.
Game-winning shot or game-winning block?
Shot.
My announcing or Joel's commentary?
I'll have to say you're announcing.
Yes.
Oh, cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Oh, there we go.
Yes!
Sam's announcing.
Mate, it's unbelievable.
What?
Second to none, okay? I can't say anything else than that. How many did we get?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you tied with Malcolm on 7.
So one last.
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, as long as you're beating Leslie, that's fine, isn't it?
I was actually chatting to Mike Miller today at practice, and he was saying that you guys have really, and Corey said it as well in last week's episode, that you guys were picking up on some of the things that I was saying on the commentary. Corey suggested, I actually got it into the broadcast this week, he suggested that I should say VJ King with the royal flush, and I got it in when you did your dunk against Caledonia in the fast break.
You didn't get the sound clip ready, did you? We could have done that. I wanted to play that because that's really cool. I like that you said that.
Maybe we'll clip it up or something and do something with it going forward, but there we go. You got yourself a grand total of 7 points. You are tied with Malcolm Delpesh in second.
This is the Bristol Flyers podcast.
Time for us to get to this week's news around the BBL, Sam. Well, I don't think we can start anywhere but talk about the weekend's games, right? 2 massive games.
I mean, we had to come back against a loss the week before against Caledonia, right? That was something that was tough to take, but we knew what they were, you know, what they were, what we were up against, and came in strong and beaten by 10 points. Is that right, John?
That's right, yeah. So, I mean, VJ, how important was that for you guys to, you know, bounce back from that Caledonia game, considering I imagine you guys weren't pleased with your performance the week before at home?
No, for sure. You know, the game before, we thought we definitely didn't play well, regardless of who was out. You know, Coach preached to us, you know, no excuses. You know, how we played is just not acceptable, and we're better than how we looked, and we just want to come out and have a better showing. For the city, for the crowd, for the people watching us, just, you know, we're better than what we showed, so we want to come out and redeem ourselves in that way.
Yeah, we definitely did. I mean, you guys went off to the races in that first quarter. I mean, you built that 20-point lead in the first half, and then obviously the comeback was going to happen at some point. They were going to make a charge in that third quarter. David Sloan just tried to put the team on his back, didn't he? He had like 37 points, but now you guys held out for the win, so that was a really good job.
I'm really glad you won, because I was talking to the guy that does Joel's job, but for the other team who sat behind me, he's called Mark, and he had a GIF ready that had the Flyers basketball logo, and then it moved around to where it says LL on basketball, and then everything else went away, and it had loss, and he was like, this is what I'm going to post if we win tonight, and I was just like, we cannot lose, because I did not want to see that going out on socials.
Yeah, and we've not been that trolly this year on Twitter from Flyers account, but in previous years we've been quite trolly after wins, so I imagine he's just trying to get us back for all those years that we trolled him in the past.
Well, when they were called Glasgow Rocks before, Joel once changed the logo from Glasgow Rocks and and changed it to Glasgow sucks after we beat them. So you got to do more stuff like that, Joe.
I posted that. I don't know. I'll have to go back to the drawing board on that one, but that would be good for us to get the win. We've managed to avoid them posting a meme about us, and and then we followed it up with a big win at home against London Lions, which was probably the loudest I've heard it at the Wise campus since the playoffs. VJ, how great were the fans from your point of view on Sunday's game?
It was crazy. I was actually telling I forget which teammate it was. It might have been Tevin. Like, when I'm out there on the floor, I don't really hear the crowd that much. It's not that I'm trying to like tune them out, but I'm out there playing. Unless it's like a huge I don't really necessarily hear them all the time, but I know they were super loud. There was a couple of free throws, but like, wow, okay, I heard them that time.
Yeah. Well, down the stretch as well, I think Decker was like shooting some free throws, and he's quite an efficient free throw shooter this year, and he like missed like a couple in the fourth quarter, and everyone absolutely bonkers. There was also a bit at the end I noticed. When I think they fouled you on the inbounds play, and then Decker was talking to you a little bit. What was he saying in that little sequence?
Well, obviously, he was pulling a vet move, trying to get in my head before I shot the free throws. But he was asking me if I dribbled before I got fouled, so they can maybe put a little more time on the clock in case I was to miss one of those free throws, because I think they would have had almost 3 seconds instead of like 1.5. But obviously we don't miss those. So.
There we go. Do you find there's a lot of like little chirping or a little bit of trash talk or mind games out there on the court? Are you privy to that on the court?
I mean, it depends on who we're playing. I'm open to it. I don't mind it at all. But I guess just kind of how the flow of the game is going. If teams start to get up on us a little bit, and that's when they start to chatter. They would want to talk when they're up. But in the case of the London game, there wasn't a whole lot of talking going on, which kind of surprised me. But like I said, that little exchange was probably the only time where there was real back and forth between us.
Yeah.
Well, I noticed, I feel like you shut them up with your plan, because there was that point early on where they went into that zone and you hit 2 mid-range, one just slightly on the right and then one right from the free throw line. And it was just like, you completely dismantled their zone within like two plays, and they'd stopped doing it after that, didn't they?
Yeah, after I hit the second one, I think I was running back, and I told whoever was running past, I was like, they better get out that zone. I'm going to make the shot every time. So,
that's it. Just keep talking.
After that.
I love it. I love all this like mind games in the BBL, and we hear it a lot more now that we're sat courtside. Before we were up top, but now we do commentary from courtside. We literally hear all these conversations that are happening on the court. It's amazing. So that was really great to see.
2 massive 3-pointers from Jelani as well at that point. The step back as well. He played really well, didn't he?
Yeah,
I mean, I tell him to play all the time, just play with confidence. But I love that little side step 3. He gets that, and he makes that consistently. So anytime he shoots that, I'm running back, because I know it's going there.
I see he does this little shuffle actually. When there's one he did on the baseline. It wasn't a 3, but he like almost dribbled sideways and did this little 3 steps. It's not. I don't think it is a travel. I don't think it is, but it's just, do you know the one I mean? Where he gets so far away and then he shoots that little mid-range jumper or whatever.
Yeah. He works on that shot though. All the shots that he takes, when we have time to shoot, he's working on all of that. So.
For me, the drive, Costa Koufos came across, tried to block you, did the little pump and in that was a huge. And you got fouled as well, didn't you? That was tasty.
Yeah, that was a game changer. Yeah, those little plays, isn't it, that sort of change the rhythm of the game. Like you feel London and build a momentum, and then Jelani goes and just drains threes. Like Miller hit a back-to-back 3 off of Jelani as well. Yeah. And that just suddenly like set the tide back in our favour again. So massive win for them. And obviously other big news around the league is that Brandon Mahan got named in BBL Team of the Week. Sort of two standout performances for him at the weekend. Does that make your life easier, VJ, when players like Brandon are knocking down those shots and creating that extra space?
Yeah, I think that's one of the best part of our team. You can't just key in on one guy, because any one of us can get hot at any second. And it's different guys step up in different games. Like I said, it's not just one specific person. So if they key in on one guy, then another guy is open. Or if they try to, clog the paint and try to focus on one person, then we just make the right play, because we have a bunch of guys that can make plays for us. It's not just one guy. Yeah,
every game this season I've seen so far, someone seems to be stepping up. One night it's your night, one night it's Mahan's night, one night it's Mike's night. Do you know what I mean? There's different players that can get hot on any given night. That's what makes us pretty dangerous this year, I feel.
We even did it without TB, who's he's unbelievable, right? He's an unreal player, and we managed to beat London with one of our best players on the bench. So it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. There was a lot of talk about Bristol sort of going into the season. Like, are they legit? Can they get it done? And I think you guys have answered those questions early doors in the season already. I mean, beating Leicester, knocking off top teams in the league like Leicester, like London on your home court, picking up wins on the road. I know that the Newcastle away game didn't go the way we'd wanted, but if we're able to knock off these big teams at home and then pick up these wins on the road as well, then that can only mean good things and answer all the questions that these doubters have. So it's really great to see. Speaking of doubters, I've got another rant to make, Sam. The other week it was.
Wait. Should we do it?
Yeah, go on. Yeah, play it.
Joel's rant of the week.
Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, I had a rant about teams announcing signings just before tip-off.
Yeah.
Not on. Last week, I had a rant about Cheshire Phoenix's lack of social media coverage on game day. Again, not on.
He's so sassy. Look, he is.
This week it is about. I'm going in for the BBL this week.
They're going to kick the Flyers out of the league if you do this.
I'm gunning for the BBL social channels, and I can't knock them too much because they have done some big strides forward over the summer, and they are doing some great content this season so far already. However, looking back through their social media feed after the London Lions game, I'll look through thinking, what cool plays have they posted from what are they saying about the Flyers win over London Lions? How many plays did the BBL post? Bristol Flyers plays did they post on Sunday, Sam?
I actually don't know, but is it 0?
The answer is 0. They posted 0 plays from Bristol Flyers after the game, or during the game while the game was in play. They followed it up at the end with like a little montage of the fourth quarter highlights and some Jelani stuff on Monday. But this is a big win for the club and everyone's writing them off, and all of a sudden there's nothing going out from the main league channel. So BBL, do better. I am coming for you. No, I'm joking. But I'm not the only one that thinks this, because I saw a number of tweets after the game about this.
Yeah.
There was a couple of fans. Livergas is always a vocal fan of ours on Twitter. He mentioned about it. And one person that did tweet about it was former Bristol Flyers guard Brandon Boggs, who VJ, you won't know him, but he played for 2 years for the Flyers between 2016 and 2018. He took to Twitter to talk about this, and if we can load the tweet up on the screen, the tweet reads, they picked Bristol. So the BBL posted the final score, and Brandon Boggs chirped up and said, they picked Bristol to finish bottom of the table this season. You'll better stop playing with Coach Andreas. And you guys didn't post one Flyers highlight. They were up the whole game. I mean, he's not wrong, Sam.
He is wrong, because they were down by 5 to begin with, but then they were up the whole rest of the game.
The whole rest of the way, no highlights. VJ, what did you? I want to hear your thoughts on this. Is this something you talk about in the locker room?
I mean, it was the next day. I think I was talking to Mike about it, and when he told me that, I went on the Bristol page, the BBL page. And after I saw it, I just immediately unfollowed their page.
Oh,
yeah, so
unfollow.
Yeah,
but I mean, it shows, and actually, they got to do something to earn your respect back. Is that right? They got.
After that, they probably won't get the follow back the entire season. I ain't like that. I mean, it is what it is, though.
There we go. Well, I'll tell you what. If BBL, if you're listening, some VJ King highlights could go a long way.
Okay, well, that is the end of
Joel's rant of the week.
Oh. There we go. Well, that's good. I told you last week you clipped up that audio and it actually worked pretty well.
Yeah, it worked all right, didn't it?
Worked some Sam magic on that. Other news around the league, got bash through this really quickly. Bristol Flyers have drawn Surrey Scorchers in the first round of the BBL Trophy. The winner will be at home. I can't remember who they're going to play if they win. If they make it through that one. But first round against Surrey. We will be announcing the date for that one very soon. I believe by the end of the week.
And then tickets go on sale at that point or not?
There'll be a priority period for season ticket holders and members to buy in advance of general sale. I think we're looking to go general sale on Monday, and I think the date we're looking at is Friday the 13th of January, but don't quote me on that. We will confirm it on Bristol Flyers website, bristolflyers.co.uk, so look out there, and on socials for news about the first round trophy matchup against the Surrey Scorchers. Well, we're also very close to announcing our very first Bristol Flyers members event this season. I can't say much about it, but again, look on the social media feed. Season ticket holders and members only for this event, involving the players. So look out for that soon. That sounds very secretive, doesn't it?
Very. So what are we doing? Ooh, I actually don't know what we're doing either. He doesn't tell me anything. So
I know what we're doing, but I'm not going to tell you just yet. Final bit of news. A couple more bits of news here. Our Bristol Flyers media team has grown by one. Jack has officially started with us now in the Bristol Flyers media team. So I now have some support, which is great.
Yeah, because Joel works literally every game, home and away. He works his little behind off, don't you, Joel? So it's nice to have a little bit of support on this.
Yeah, Jack Guthrie has joined the team. He's with us a couple of days a week to start with. He'll be travelling with us to away games, and he's from Plymouth though, so he used to work at Plymouth Raiders. So yeah, I know, I know.
And he's also going to work a little bit at the stadium, not just Flyers, isn't he?
No, he's working with these guys behind the scenes. Bram Vox are Flyers TV. Well, I say Flyers TV. They're now the whole BBL, don't they?
Yeah.
But they're going to be helping them behind the scenes with all their stuff as well. So that's great.
So if he ever does what Ed's doing right now and does a show, is he being paid by Brandvox or is he being paid by Bristol Flyers?
That's
Joel?
a question that I cannot answer for you right here on the podcast. But there are people that can answer that question for you. They're not here. Last bit of news to bash through. Obviously, no games for Flyers this weekend. International break. The Coach K not available for this window. He obviously, as BJ referred to earlier, he's out with family commitments this week. So again, not really a rant of the week, but a little bit disappointed in GB's channels for not giving him a bit more of a mention. All the unpaid hours he puts into the GB program. Just not to mention that he's not going to be there, but. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
But we do wish the GB team best of luck. They have Serbia and Latvia coming up in this window. 10 BBL players named in the 24-man roster, or the original 24-man roster, which is great to see because there was a time a few years ago where there weren't many BBL players named in the GB team. So that really is a sign of the tides are turning.
Yeah.
That is great to see. But nonetheless, we do wish GB the very best of luck for this week's games against Serbia and against Latvia.
This is the Bristol Flyers podcast.
VJ, one thing we like to do with our guests each week when they come on the podcast for the first time is learn more about their career journey, so their journey into playing for the Bristol Flyers. And you probably arrived with one of the biggest CVs, basketball CVs to date from any player that we've ever had. I mean, your previous experience is unbelievable. So we're really keen to sort of dive into that with you. You grew up playing in Cleveland, Ohio, is that right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
How was that growing up? What sort of age were you when you first picked up basketball?
I think I first picked it up when I was 8 years old. But my father played overseas, so I was always around the game. But I think when I started to really watch the game, maybe around 10 or 11 years old, that's when I started to want to play it more and get more serious about it. But it started when I was 8. I was that young.
Who did you support at that point in the NBA, or did you not?
Kobe was my guy.
Yeah.
Kobe was my guy. Yeah.
Was it always basketball for you, or did you play other sports when you were growing up?
Nah, I was too skinny to play any other sport. It was always basketball.
And obviously, when you went to high school, you obviously played at the famous St Vincent St Mary's, which, for those of the people that don't know, the listeners, is the school that LeBron James went to. You had that ready, didn't you, Sam?
I'm always ready.
I mean, you obviously, I think you were the first rookie at that school to start on a team since LeBron James did. How much pressure was there? How much expectations was there for you coming into your first season?
Well,
there?
you know what's crazy? I didn't originally know that it was his alma mater when I first got there. I remember taking my visit and I looked up and I was like, LeBron went here? So, but after that, I was I had national recognition from at a very, very young age. So I went into that, and then obviously the comparison started to become relevant. But I just want to kind of be my own player. I didn't want to really be compared to him because that's tough shoes to fill for sure. But it was still a good experience to be in that atmosphere.
Yeah. And was that because I remember you did an interview this morning with BBL, and you were talking about the 2012 lockout year. Was that the year in your first year?
That was my sophomore year. So that was the 2012, I believe, and he was there for the summer until about October, and he was in workouts with us and practice with us. He would invite us to his house for dinner sometimes, stuff like that.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
You went around his house for dinner?
Mm-hmm.
So you rock up to LeBron James's house for dinner. We need to hear all about this. What was for dinner?
Roast dinner.
Well, the first thing I noticed was he had a bowling alley in his house. He had an elevator in his house, his logo was all over the walls. The doors were at least like 12 foot high. So it's just little stuff like that, and I was like, wow, like this is what I want when I get older.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's incredible.
Wait, did you like? He had a gate. Did you walk up to the gate and then he let you? What was it like? That's just so weird that you just. I don't understand.
Well, I mean, we showed up in like a team bus. It was a couple of guys. But, yeah, it was a gate that we had to go through. His house was ducked off behind a whole bunch of trees. Like, you wouldn't be able to just drive past it. But this was so long ago. I'm sure he may not even own that house anymore. But,
That's incredible.
I don't know. There's a certain player. You could have said anyone in the NBA and we'd be like, oh, that's really cool. But like, he is Mr. NBA right now, isn't he? Now it's just I can't even.
Yeah.
I can't comment. I have no question to ask. I'm just sat here.
You must have learned like so much from him. Was he like teaching you things, or what kind of things was he talking to you about?
well, yeah, when we spent a lot of time together in that little span that he was there, and I think the main thing he was telling me was just be your own player. You know, don't worry about what I've done at this school. Be who you are. You know, you whole different talent, whole different game. You know, just bring your own type of flair to it, and just be your own man. I think that was one of the things that kind of helped me through it, because going into it, you heard those comparisons a lot, and it was hard for me not to really push them away. But naturally, you start to read those. You know, is he as good as LeBron, or is this his game? He scored this month when LeBron was this young, but he was basically just telling me just be your own player and just create your own path, and I think that really helped me.
I imagine those comparisons happen. Like every player that comes through that school now will always be compared to LeBron James. Do you know what I mean? Because when a player like that comes through, like a future NBA Hall of Famer comes through that school now always be known for said player. So any player that does come through will have those comparisons. So that must have been crazy, sort of, having to try and live up to those expectations of a player of that magnitude.
Did the program significantly increase in sort of people trying to get into it since he left and became part of the NBA? Like, was it a really tough school to get into after?
To be honest, I'm not really sure. During my time there, it seemed like St. Vincent St. Mary was very prevalent and popular school in the city of Akron, but definitely it's gotten to that point because of him, and it's been that way since. It's just he has his stamp on it for sure, and I don't think it'll ever go away.
Are you still in touch with him now? Have you spoke to him recently at all?
No, I haven't spoken to him in a while, but
But if he saw you now, would you still have a spark up conversation, or would you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
that's so cool. Imagine it's like, is he in your phone book? Have you got him in your phone book?
No, not anymore.
Let's leave him a message.
I was going to say, we need to find someone to leave them a message.
Hi LeBron, it's Sam and Joel here from the Bristol.
That's it. Leave him a message. Obviously, you start to get national recognition, as you say. You were named a McDonald's All-American, which, for those that don't know, the listeners that don't know what that means, essentially it's an all-star game, isn't it? The best players in the country at high school level. What was that like?
Well, first, it was super exciting to be recognized and have something like that, attached to your name. I was the first All-American at my high school, so that was a big deal. But, I think it's 14 players from the East and West. And that was one of my, first times where I really felt like, okay, like I can really do something with this game, Just being recognized in that kind of light, that really gave me confidence to keep playing and just to be motivated to keep getting better. Yeah,
that moment you say you felt like, oh wait a minute, I probably could play some professional basketball when and then you're suddenly your attention solely turned to basketball. Like, wait, yeah, I can really give this a go now.
Because I heard that I was kind of like on the fence about it, and so I was like, if they're not sure about it, I don't want to be in the game at all. But then I saw my name pop up, and I was like, okay, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we're looking through we've got it in front of us here, like the rosters for the 2016 McDonald's All-American game, and there are some big names in here. I mean, you're on Team East. On Team West, there was Lonzo Ball, Malik Monk. Who else we got here? Kyle Guy plays in the NBA. Zach Collins. And then you look at the East team, and this is, obviously yourself is in this team, but you got Jason Tatum, Bam Adebayo, De'Aaron Fox, Miles Bridges, Markel Fultz. Like, these are some like top name NBA players. That must have been like an incredible experience for you, for all these players that are then going on, and you look at them now, they're all like in the NBA, some of the NBA All-Stars, you know. That's incredible.
Well, most of those guys, we grew up playing together, so that wasn't our first time meeting up. So most of those guys, I remember the BBL interview we had this morning, we talked about the USA stuff, and that was at a very, very young age. So a lot of those guys, we've known each other for so long, it was just another opportunity for us to play together.
Yeah, I was going to get around to that as well, because obviously you guys all played together for the US national team, under 15s, under 17s. You won back-to-back gold medals at the World Championships. So it was at under 15s and under 17s level.
No way, that's so good.
And and again, like these, you're playing with players like Jason. Are you still in touch with these guys? Do you guys
I am
still?
actually.
I noticed Jason Tatum follows you on Instagram,
Yeah.
and is he seeing all your Bristol Flyers pictures you're putting up and stuff? Are you are you still like talking a lot, like quite regularly? Or
Yeah, I still talk to a lot of those guys now, actually.
wow, that's incredible.
That is crazy, isn't it?
You got them in like your phone book. You could like just give them a little message and be like, "Hey, what's up? Like, I'm coming to your game on Saturday. Like, just like, can I get some tickets?" Do you know all that kind
Well,
of?
I mean, as we get older, you don't really try to hit them up as much.
Yeah.
But, just from social media, going back and forth sometimes. But yeah, if it was like to pick up the phone, if I was to call some of those guys, then yeah, I'm sure those guys would pick up.
That is amazing.
That's
I love
amazing. Obviously, then after you come out of high school, as an All-American, you went and played for Louisville College. How many offers do you get coming out of high school when you're like a player at that level? I imagine you must have had a lot of decisions to make and a lot of schools to visit.
It was definitely a lot. It was a lot of programs too. It was a hard decision for me to make, but I'm not really sure the exact number. If I could like have an exact number, but
so
it was
many.
quite a few. It was quite a few.
But each one you have to take seriously. You look through everything they're offering you and all the rest of it. That must have taken ages to actually just work out the shortlist for the ones you wanted to go to, right?
Well, yeah, because it's definitely like a vetting process, if you will. But it's more than just like the brand of the team. Gotta look at the campus and the coach and what the other players on the team is like, how far away from home it is, that type of thing. So
Yeah.
you could cut out a few teams if they was too far. And my mom didn't want me to go out off the West Coast, so it was a lot of West Coast teams that didn't really take seriously just because of how far away it was. Just little stuff like that goes into the decision-making process.
Yeah. Did you have to do like a lot of visits as well? Were you out visiting many schools, or were there only like a small handful that you went to visit?
There was only a few that I actually went out and visited because of the busy schedule that I had when at the time. So it wasn't every offer that I had I went on to visit. I wasn't one of those type of players.
That's amazing. And then how do you look back on that Louisville experience? Was it 3 years you spent there?
Mm-hmm. So it was up and down, good and bad experiences. But I enjoyed my time there. I definitely learned a lot. I had 3 different coaches and one different coach each year.
That's
so,
tough.
But it's definitely a great learning experience. Those 3 years I was there.
Yeah. And then when you graduated after playing at Louisville, so you declared for the draft, right?
Mm-hmm.
How does that process work? So if you leave college, and is that in the build up to in your senior year? You're like, I'm going to declare for the draft. Is there like a deadline you have to commit by, or?
Well, yeah, it's right after our season ended. So right after the season, I'm not sure which month it was. You go straight into doing the workout stuff, and it was 2-3 workouts a week. So I was flying place to place, all the time. So it was no real rest. And then after that, you go into summer league, and which is a whole another grind. And then after that, you go into the preseason stuff and training camps. So it was just back to back stuff. It's definitely a great experience, but it definitely gets tough sometimes.
You must have been like just constantly knackered all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine. Like, at least we do like what BBL. We do like 3-hour journey to Cheshire, or like a little 2-hour journey down to Plymouth or something like that. But you guys probably flying all over the country, East Coast, West Coast. Like that must take its toll.
Definitely. But at that point, you get used to it, but it definitely gets tiring. You go from one city, you work out, and you're flying home the next day, and then you fly to another place 2 days later, then you go from there and fly to another place. So it gets crazy.
Wow. And then obviously after the the draft, you ended up signing with the Westchester Knicks, who are the G League affiliate of the New York Knicks. And just kind of talk us through that whole process. I mean, after the draft, sort of what kind of options did you have? How did you find yourself ending up there?
Well, I think at that point it's just who's the most interested and who gives you the most time. And there's a lot of teams that can call you but may not seem as interested. And at that level, it's very, very blunt. And, you know, you can tell which teams are interested and which ones aren't. And at the time, New York was a team that was most interested in me from, you know, the feedback that I got from the workouts and stuff. So I ended up signing with them.
How, like, entwined are they, the G League teams with the NBA teams? Are you, like, practicing or training? Are you at the same training base? Are you eating together? How close are they together, the two programs?
Well, it depends. In my situation, in Westchester, we were very, very intertwined with the New York Knicks. I mean, like, stuff like we ran the same plays as the team. We worked out in the same facility as them. I would say just because we were so, like, a lot of G League teams, it's hard to explain. And, like, there's a few G League teams that are in a whole different state from their NBA affiliate, but we were just basically like 10, 15 minutes away. So, you know, we were able to, you know, see the GMs of the Knicks a lot, see the head coaches, see the players all the time. So it was definitely good to see those guys. But, you know, just they would come to our games a lot, just from us being so close and because we worked out in the same facility. You know, just little things like that.
Wow. Because we had Antoine Johnson on last season on the podcast, and he played for the Skyforce, the Sioux Force Skyforce, and obviously they're a completely different city altogether, aren't they? To the
that was what I was thinking of. I wasn't sure if it was Miami or not.
Yeah.
But I think they're in, like, I forget what state they're in.
Yeah.
I think they're in, like, Rhode Island or something like that.
They're
They're not
somewhere
even in
weird, aren't
Miami.
they?
Yeah. So they're obviously not together. But that's great that you guys are. So you must be picking up loads of little bits, you know, speaking to some of these players, learning little bits, learning everything from these guys and the coaching staff and everything. So that must have been an awesome experience for you.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Yeah. And you spent 2 years there, right? You spent 2 seasons there before you ended up moving to Luxembourg.
Oh.
And your head coach at Luxembourg was none other than Gavin Love, who used to coach in our league in the BBL for Plymouth Raiders. So that's like, again, we talk about it every single week, but the basketball world is so small, isn't it? Like, people grow up with people who play together. Like, you know, you talk about knowing all these guys and growing up with them, and then all of a sudden you're moving overseas and you're playing with people. You know, you must. It's incredible, isn't it? It's such a small, tight knit community, but you're playing miles and miles apart all across the world. It's really great to see.
Yeah, that was one of the big reasons why I ended up signing with Coach Andreas in here, because of the relationship he had with Coach Gavin. I think that was probably one of the biggest contributing factors. And you know, we looked at the brand of basketball that Coach has established here, and it's a type of basketball I like to play. So.
Yeah, I was looking at your stats from Luxembourg, and you're absolutely bossing that league. I think you're like 30 points a game. Like, is that what? Could you? Was the standard like a bit lower, or were you just like absolutely tearing it up compared to what you're seeing in the BBL right now?
I wouldn't say the standards were lower. It was just maybe just a team I was on necessarily. But I would say this league is I wouldn't say a lot more competitive, but it's a better league here than the one I was playing in Luxembourg. But no, it's just another step in the direction in the journey. You know, just going from one league like that, and I was there to kind of just get my name out there in the I guess like European market. So that was really why I was in that position in the first place. And up here.
That's awesome. Did you know much about like the BBL at all before signing with Bristol, or was it all brand new after you spoke to Coach Andreas?
It was all brand new. I wasn't really sure about the basketball here. I just knew the coach was here, and I knew a few players. One's like Kipper Nichols so we used to play together when we were young. He's from Cleveland as well. So just players like that. And I forget the point guard from Leicester.
This year's one.
Yes.
What, the Thornton?
Thornton, yeah, Derek. So me and him used to play together as well when we were super, super young. So just players like that you don't realize are in the league until you get there. So just kind of, it's just great to see players like that you've seen. And like you said, the basketball world is so small, and just being in this league is so many guys that I was just shocked that I've already known, that are already here.
Yeah, a lot of people, when I speak to them about joining the BBL, they say the European style of play, maybe compared to the BBL is a lot more physical, a lot more up and down, kind of more similar to what you would have been used to playing in the States. Whereas in the if you go like into sort of more into like mainland Europe, it's a lot more slower, a lot more pick and roll style of play. Are you noticing it in the BBL that it is a very physical league compared to what you were playing in Luxembourg?
Well, the league in Luxembourg was very physical as well. I think just that league and this league, they're both very, very physical. I mean, it's very physical in the States, but it's crazy because the basketball in the States has become more of a three-point contest now, more than anything. But now the physicality is definitely, they call way more touch fouls in America than they do here. They let guys play a little bit here, which I like. I don't mind that at all, but they definitely, you get away with some stuff.
Well, yeah,
I've done. There's some hard hits that like don't get called. I'm there like sometimes I'm there like, what are you doing? Other times I'm like, phew, didn't call that one on our guys either, So
yeah, we don't talk about officials on this podcast, but we do kind of.
Joel's rant of the
It's not all that bad. VJ, that sort of brings us to a full circle now, back to where you are here in Bristol. When you look at the future for yourself, where do you see yourself playing? What kind of goals do you have for like the rest of your playing career?
Right now, a goal of mine is just to play until I'm 40.
Love it.
Just play as long as I can. Wherever I end up, I'm not going to say I want to play in this specific league or in this specific league. I just want to go out and become the best player I can be. And wherever I end up, I'll be happy with it at the end of the day.
That's amazing.
Well, we're loving having you on our team. We're genuinely so excited to see all the guys out there, really. But it's something special this year. We're really, really, really special. And you add a huge amount to that.
Yeah, I think so too. Sam, shall we get to... that was a really good chat. Shall we get to this week's Word of the Week?
You're listening to the Bristol Flyers podcast.
Okay, so this week there were two home games. So we had 2 words of the week to try and squeeze into the podcast. The first one was Annihilation, which we span on the wheel, which I can tell you I did get in.
No.
I did.
He didn't get in. We'll play it.
I said the word Annihilation on the podcast.
I'll play it for you now, and you can tell me. And VJ, you can be on this as well to tell us whether he actually got the word in or whether he cheated. Okay?
Shall we take a listen?
Corey Samuels, he joined us on the Bristol Flyers podcast this past week. The Annihilation of Sweet Trash Talk was the name of the episode.
Very nice, Joel. Very nice.
And if you haven't had a chance to listen to it, you can go listen to it on all major podcast providers.
There you go. I even got a plug in for the podcast as well.
That's a cheat, though. You used the title of last week's podcast with Annihilation in to get the word in. It doesn't count. Do you think it counts or not?
I think it counts.
VJ!
Did I say the word Annihilation on the broadcast?
He's just trying to get you some points because he said he preferred my announcing earlier. So he can get back at you now.
Well, I said the word Annihilation. I can confirm the word Annihilation was said. As far as Focaccia goes, I didn't say it.
You last week you didn't even know what Focaccia was, so
yeah,
I'm not surprised.
The only thing I was going to do was describe someone's jump shot as being flat as Focaccia, but I'll tell you what happened. I had a mind blank. I just completely forgot. And by the time I thought the word Focaccia, it was already late in the fourth quarter. I wasn't going to say it down crunch time in a 4-point game against London Lions.
We need to get Pasquale on and you talk about Italian Focaccia with Landolfi there. That would have been good.
I failed. I went 1 for 2 at the weekend. So I don't know. Maybe you can think of some kind of forfeit or something for me to do.
There's a huge forfeit. I'll think of it for next time.
Okay. No more Focaccia. We are taking words, though, for our next home game, which isn't this weekend. It's next weekend, Friday. Cheshire Phoenix are the opponent, so if you've got a word you want to get into Word of the Week, you can send us a tweet at Bristol Flyers. We're Bristol Flyers on all major social channels, and also you can leave a comment in the YouTube section. If you're watching on YouTube, just down here, you can leave a comment in the comment section right about here. We read all of them, don't we? Read all the comments.
We do. Big one against Cheshire as well, because we've got returning Marcus Evans, who was the point guard here last year. So VJ, we need you to do a job on him, okay?
Yeah,
that's what we need.
I'm sure that won't be a problem for VJ King. Don't forget, tickets are still available for that game over at bristolflyers.co.uk. You can get your tickets for Bristol Flyers versus the Cheshire Phoenix.
You're listening to the Bristol Flyers podcast.
All right, time to wrap up this podcast with the mailbag section. And VJ, as always, we ask fans to send in their questions for you. We've got a whole range of different questions, for some great, some we can't read out in the podcast. So the ones that we can read in the podcast, we can read out right here. Sam, do you want to go ahead with the first question?
Do you think we've answered that one already?
Yeah, maybe. Let's go for this one,
Okay,
shall we?
so Phil Whitlock. So what's your advice for any young players that are looking to play professional basketball? He also asked if you can shout out to his son Marley, who is 15 years old and says he watches every single game.
Shout out Marley, man.
There we go.
Marley.
My advice, play as much as you can. Don't put too much pressure on yourself to get to that level. Make sure you have the love for the game first, because that'll get you through on days that you don't feel like working, days that you don't feel like getting up and getting those extra time in. So just make sure you love it first and just play as much as you can. That'll be my advice.
Great stuff. We've got another question here from, I'm going to butcher your name here, by the way, on Instagram, ish@quack_JK on Instagram. What drills can I do to work on my fundamentals? Are there any go-tos?
Maybe for like ball handling, I do a lot of 2-ball stuff. And I would say maybe like form shooting. Work on your free throws, because that helps me a lot too. And just your touch around the basket, just like little floaters and layups. Just get used to just, getting floaters, getting a rebound, throwing something else up, maybe turning back foot. Just getting used to taking shots in the paint. I think that'll help a lot.
When we speak to a lot of players that come on the podcast, they often say, like, get good at doing one specific thing. So whether that's playing defense or becoming a master of that specific skill, whether it's becoming a really good shooter, something that you can really use as like your go-to, thing that coaches are like, I need a shooter on my team, I need a defensive stopper on my team. That's how important is that as a player?
Well, first you got to know yourself and know what kind of player you want to be and what kind of player you are and what kind of skills that you have. And then once you realize that and once you know what your game is, then you can really hone in and focus on one specific thing and getting good at that first.
Nice.
Great stuff.
So Matt Hardy from BBL Daily on Twitter.
Shout out Matt Hardy.
Big shout out. He would like to know, who would you want to play you in a movie about your life?
Gotta say myself.
You can say yourself. Yeah, we can say yourself.
Of course you can.
The off-court career and the on-court career. Love it.
If I had to pick like an actor,
Yeah, that's what we want. That's what we want to hear. The actor.
LeBron James.
I'm not sure actually. I'm not sure. Maybe I would say someone that at least looks like me.
Fair enough.
Well, I'll tell you what. How about fans tweet in as to who they think should play
Yeah,
VJ
that'd be a good
King
one.
in a movie about his life.
Yeah, like that.
And I'll show him some of the answers on practice next time I see him.
Nice.
Maddie Palmer on Instagram. Are you single because my friend fancies you?
My friend fancies you.
That's like what you say at school, isn't it? Like, my friend fancies you. Are you single?
Go
I
on.
am single, yes.
Oh, there we go.
That's the question.
VJ
Well,
King.
Maddie's friend fancies you.
How about you? So VJ King is on Instagram. You can slide into his DMs. I'm joking. I'm joking.
What is your Instagram, just in case anyone does want to follow you, by the way?
It's VJ King _.
And he's got the blue
Sure.
tick as well, so
Yes,
no
he
mistakes
does.
in not finding him on Instagram.
Crouchy69 on Instagram wants to know, what weighs more, a ton of feathers or a ton of bricks?
The way the same.
Whee!
I get
No catching out of VJ King on the
me with
podcast.
that one.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've got a question here from Charlie Lincoln from our marketing department here in the office at Bristol Sport. Big up, Charlie.
Yeah.
He wants to know, who's your favourite NBA team and player?
Cavs got a good squad this year, man.
Yeah,
Cavs got a good
Donovan
team this
Mitchell.
year, Yep.
tearing it up.
Mm-hmm.
What about the player?
I would say I like watching specific guys. I would say we talked about Jason Tatum. I watch him a lot. Obviously, I watch LeBron just because I want to see when he breaks that record this season.
Yeah.
I watched Donovan too. We played together his sophomore year. That was my freshman year in Louisville.
Wow. That's so cool. Just like name drop. Just pick up that name you just dropped down there.
I mean, it's a lot of guys that I've had relationships with that I still keep up with and just watch. When they're on television, I can learn from those guys at that level. So I enjoy watching them.
Awesome.
He actually, Joel hasn't put what he really wanted to say, which is who is your favourite player and why is it Baron Davis?
Charlie loves Baron Davis. He has an obsession with Baron Davis highlights in the office. He
So
just
weird,
watches
isn't
Baron Davis all the time. I'm like, all right, Charlie, you do you.
F Wills on Instagram wants to know what's the most.
I says the word ever.
Okay, good. Because
That's on my notes. Sorry, mate.
okay, what is the most ever points that you have had in a game?
Or your best ever performance you've had in a game.
I think 47 is the highest I've gotten.
Ooh.
47.
Can you remember the game? Who was it? Who were you playing for? Who was the
I was
opponent?
actually very, very young. I was in middle school, and I was playing JV at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the team name? I was in Charlotte, North Carolina, and it was probably like our second or third home game, and I was making everything I threw up.
Everything.
Coach gave me the green light. We weren't very good, so I was just going out there and just trying to get as many points as possible. And that game, I really had it going.
47. There you go.
47. Well, you can see if we can top that on the Bristol Flyers this season. See if we can maybe drop a 50-piece one night. I think you could do it, VJ. I've got faith. VJ, I think that's a great way to wrap things up here on this week's podcast. Don't forget, we're here every single Wednesday on the podcast feed, all major podcast providers, and we're on YouTube. So if you are enjoying the podcast, do please send it to a friend, recommend us to your mates, and leave us a rating and a review, because that does really help us move up the podcast chart. Sam, is there anything else you want to say before we wrap this one up?
Nothing really, apart from thanks for coming to Bristol. Thanks for being part of our team. We appreciate you and look forward to seeing you play the rest of the season.
Yeah, and we'll have to get you back on the podcast a little bit later on in the season. Once we go through all the players, we're going to get players to come in twos. So maybe we get something like you and Tevin on and do a roommate sort of thing or something like that. That'd be really good fun. Yeah. But apart from that, that is going to do it for this week's episode of the podcast. Thanks for joining us. We'll be right back, same time next week, right here on the Bristol Flyers podcast. We'll see you later.